are these people?
ICE took a green card holder leaving for work just weeks after his baby's birth. Because the punishment is the process, and it's the whole point. Okay, it's so disgusting. Let me make this a little bigger. Again, dissentinbloom.substack.com. Check it out. He was featured also on the Justice for Aspen live stream. If you did not see that, by all means, check it out. As she said, picture this. Sarah had just given birth 3 weeks ago. I remember when my kid was 3 weeks old. All right. Her body still healing, swollen, eyes heavy from the sleeplessness that comes with a newborn's cries. This was their third boy, and though her hands were going to be full, her heart had never felt fuller. Aw. It was fall in Oregon. The red and orange and yellow leaves fell from outside, very descriptive. Children were preparing for Halloween, and her apartment smelled of coffee and milk and baby lotion and baby formula, probably. All right. Her husband, lovingly called Yomi, was heading back to work today. All right. He didn't want to leave her side yet. Well, not while she was still sore, still between the beauty of their new child and the ache of recovery. But the rent was due in a few days, and the bills don't pause for love or birth. And in America, the landlord and the light company don't care if you just brought life into the world, and apparently neither does ICE, because on October 26th, Abayomi Daramola was taken from his wife and children, taken by masked men as he left for work that day. Fucking gross. See, when Yomi left, it was just another morning. Two rambunctious little boys excited for their new brother. The new baby's soft breath on her chest, that unsaid feeling that everything was going to be okay, but by afternoon, everything that they built, 10 years of home, family, safety, collapsed in the space between a knock at the door and a click of handcuffs. During the arrest, Sarah said one of the agents barely looked at her. He just muttered that her husband was being taken. There was no explanation, no mercy, and then they were gone. He didn't even have a chance to show them that he was legal. They didn't seem to care either way because, again, they have a 3,000 arrests per day quota. So even if they arrest him, they can always just let him go. But they met their quota and they're not going to get in trouble for the day. Yomi had lived here for 10 years. He came from Nigeria, built a life, earned his green card, followed every rule this country told him would keep him safe. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't illegal. He belonged here. ICE coming for their family was likely the last thing on their mind. I'm sure seeing on the news, it's messing him up and he's wondering, are they going to come for me? And they did. Yet in that moment, none of it mattered. Sarah left standing in the doorway holding their baby, watching the only world she knew collapse. A father taken before his newborn would even recognize his face or know that this ever happened. And taken from two little boys who had never known life without their daddy. I mean, again, I got 3 little kids. This kills me. So where is Yomi now? Well, on November 3rd, an advocate posted an update to the family's GoFundMe. In the span of just 3 days, remember I talked about how they moved that teacher? He was moved between 4 different detention centers. Every transfer meant new chains on his wrists and ankles, new officers, new walls that smelled of bleach and metal. He reported being shackled the entire time. Wrists sore where the metal rubbed against his skin. His legs stiff from sitting in the same position for hours. What did he do? They wouldn't let him shower. They wouldn't even let him use a bathroom. For more than 72 hours, he sat in chains, sweating, aching, humiliated. Must have been sitting in his own piss and shit. The air was thick and sour. His clothes clung to him. Every mile of that journey stripped away another layer of his dignity, again, which was the point. He tried not to think about home. That's what tries to break them. About Sarah, the baby, the boys, because the thought of them made the walls feel smaller, I can imagine. This was a man who'd done everything right, who followed every rule, and yet here he was, treated like something less than human. That's the baby. But there's beauty in the darkest of times. And in the days since Yomi's arrest, the community has rallied around Sarah. Great. Thousands of dollars have been donated to her GoFundMe, enough for her to pay the rent and secure a short period of postpartum doula care to help her through long sleepless nights without her kids. Yeah, great. Thanks for that. It's great, but that she doesn't have to do that alone. But that small consolation for now, she and the kids have a place to stay, a little stability, and in the chaos that ICE left behind, which again, I think they want people to end up homeless out of this, evicted and living in their car on the streets or who knows where. They're fighting to free him, to get this man back to his family. Why? Here's the part that hurts to write. By early November, the average person in ICE detention was being held for roughly 7 weeks. How much is that costing us as a society on top of the moral cost, but just the fucking financial cost? But people who fight their cases like Yomi is, they are often locked up far longer, sometimes many months or even a year or more. The people who get out earlier are the ones who self-deport to get away from the horrible conditions inside these detention centers. Again, the punishment is the point, which is the goal. Kristi Noem has said on record, the dog murderer, several times that the goal is to make ICE detention so cruel, so inhumane, and so torturous that immigrations would rather just go back to the places where they risk life and limb than stay and be abused. How is she not behind bars right now? But he is, because he's from Nigeria, and despite being a permanent resident with a green card, he's still going to miss the small irreplaceable things that mark a baby's second month of life. These are the ordinary miracles that teach a child safety and bonding, and they're happening without him. Again, by intent. Look at what happened to Mahmoud Khalil. And if this drags on, as it so often does, his baby could grow up without knowing his voice, his scent, his touch. When he finally walks through the door, he won't be daddy. He'll be a stranger with familiar eyes, trying to bond with a child who's already learned the world without him. Motherfucker. The damage doesn't stop with the baby. Research is blunt about what happens to kids when a parent is detained or deported. Anxiety, depression, aggression, and even suicidal thoughts climb in children and teens who experience a parent's arrest or disappearance. The longer the separation, the worse the outcomes. Sarah's older boys are all under 10. They need routine, touch, reassurance, and a parent who's not up all night calculating rent and legal bills and how to answer the question, when's daddy coming home? They want the two-parent family, and they just broke up a two-parent family. How Christian is that? For a guy who's here fucking legally. And Yomi won't leave, of course, this untouched. Prolonged detention is consistently linked to anxiety, depression, and PTSD in adults. Look what they did to Aspen in 15 fucking days in Georgia, an American citizen. Symptoms that persist after release. And this study is from before they upped the cruelty. Add in the documented conditions of ICE custody, like the transfers and isolation, heat risks in southern facilities, and basic indignities of being denied showers or bathrooms. You have the blueprint for lifelong trauma, again, which is their point. This is the math that Sarah is forced to do while she feeds her baby and bargains with landlords. Every extra day in detention is not just a court date on the docket. It's a missed smile, a stalled bond, a frightened child, and a father pushed deeper into harm. The fight goes on because it has to. It should not have to at all. This is costing them time, money, years of their life and their savings and their future. Everything this guy had worked for has now got to be blown on this. That's the true cruelty of family separation. Again, it's not just the taking, but the time that can never be returned. The people that can never truly be returned. At the end of the day, they can never truly return to who they were before this. How can they ever feel safe in the United States again? But the love will always be there, and love is stronger than hate at the end of the day. We just have to fight. Yes. But we also have to prosecute these motherfuckers. They have to pay. ICE separates families. Yeah, we know that. As of June, the Brennan Center for Justice, I'm not a fan of them at all, reported over 57,000 people held in ICE detention centers. That is a 51% increase from the year before. So don't tell me how Joe Biden was locking people up now. This is an unprecedented record level of shit. These facilities are operating at over 45% over capacity. Well, we got to build more facilities now, right? No, stop arresting them, motherfuckers. How many of those 57,000 were mothers or fathers? The majority. How many children came home from school to empty houses and backpacks still slung over their shoulders, wondering where their parents went? More than dozens. More than dozens. How many were left crying in the backseat of a car after ICE took their mom or dad during a traffic stop? Too fucking many. According to the American Immigration Council, more than 16.7 million children in the U.S. live with at least one undocumented family member, meaning the scale of risk for separation is huge. Of course, the Millers of the world would say, why are there 16.7 million children living with undocumented family members? There you go. He also knows this, which is why he shared similar statistics and a cryptic message on social media the night Mom Donnie, an immigrant, won the mayoral election in New York City. A threat wrapped in numbers. And that's not an exaggeration, it's the reality. And it's getting worse. ICE has been documented leaving children alone in cars, on the side of the road, and in parking lots after detaining their parents. And then what they do is they charge the parents with child abandonment and child endangerment, as if it's their fault. In Oxnard, California, 2 young children were found crying inside a truck after their father was taken at a gas station. In Massachusetts, a 12-year-old boy was left wandering the street after ICE arrested the adult he was with. These are not isolated incidents. They're routine acts of cruelty dressed up as enforcement. Children have started documenting it themselves. Children! On TikTok, videos circulate of kids coming home from school to empty houses, their parents' belongings scattered where they left them that morning. One girl only learned that her mother had been taken when she saw a video filmed by a bystander showing agents forcing her into their vehicle as she walked to the grocery store. This is not a hypothetical future or a dystopian warning. It's a growing reality unfolding in neighborhoods across America. Children are being stranded, terrified, and forced to grow up in the aftermath of government-sanctioned disappearances. This is fascism. People are putting up posters to show where ICE kidnapped someone because these families only find out their loved ones are gone when they never come home. And while politicians on both sides of the government gave ICE billions for border security, families like Sarah's are being torn apart using these dollars, our tax dollars, one household at a time. Like I said to Brandon Johnson, you motherfuckers funded this. So what can we do? This story is heavy because it has to be. It's a mirror held up to a country that keeps pretending, trying not to see. It may feel draining and dark and hopeless, but that exhaustion is a privilege that Sarah and Yomi and Mahmoud Khalil and Ramesia Ozturk and so many people don't have. Yomi doesn't get to give up. He's chained in a cell hundreds of miles from home. Still not charged with a crime, I'm guessing. Sarah doesn't get to look away. She's feeding a newborn with one arm and fighting for her husband with the other. The least we can do is stand beside them, because every time we stop paying attention, another family disappears. By the way, same thing with Gaza. Every time we lose hope, ICE wins. We don't get to turn our backs. Not when love like theirs is still fighting to survive inside the machine built to destroy it. You can donate to Sarah's GoFundMe. And that's linked here. All right. And yet another fucking GoFundMe. Because we don't have enough of those already. I'm going to go through a whole section of that later. You can search online to find and donate to immigrant rights groups in your own community. You can donate to the ACLU who's fighting. You can share this story so other people know. Restack it here on Substack. Share it on social media for sure. And if you can't give money, give time. The only way we get out of this is together. We can't sit around and wait for someone else to fix it. There's always something you can do. Get creative. The goal is simple. Raise awareness, raise funds, and stop this before more children are traumatized and more fathers like Yomi are taken. And if you want to keep up with stories like this, subscribe to Dissent in Bloom. Substack.com. Okay, she covers cases like Sarah and Yomi's from all over the country. She holds the Trump admin and ICE and Noam and Miller accountable. Okay, she writes about the human side and statistics behind it and keep doing it, and also election integrity. And the fact that our elections are completely captured, owned, and stolen because the machines are being certified in a black box, and nobody wants to pay attention to that. They would rather just stick their head in the sand and believe that everything is on the up and up. There's Ko-fi. She's got Ko-fi. She's got a monthly subscription that you can subscribe there. All right, if you have the means, that support makes a difference. And it makes a difference over here, too. Support independent media. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Right? Great article. Good stuff. So fuck ICE, man. Holy crap. Again, this is Indie News Now Live. Appreciate everybody checking this out. This is the first episode of the new version of this show. Before I continue, I do want to ask you to support independent media if you're able to and a means. The ways to do that are the same as always. Cash App, $, Indie News Network. That goes right to my phone. $, Indie News Network. Ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. We got paypal.me/Indie News Network. Do that as friends and family. All right. Then we've got, again, at the Indie News Now website that we are live at right now, there is a tab to keep the news free, and you can donate via Stripe. And then we've got over at Substack, INNnewsletter.com, where we publish weekly update and more, and where we are live now at IndieMediaToday.com. And again, good to see everybody over there. Thank you so much, really, for supporting independent media and for hanging out. We're gonna do this every Tuesday night now at 10 p.m. Eastern. We're just shifting. So for those who weren't here earlier, like Vicky, and it's in the description, but How Do We Miss That is evolving. You know, I took a look around at the landscape and I said, you know, as a show name, it's been around for 4 years. We never really named the show. It kind of evolved into its own name, but I never actively decided that this is what I want to call it. But because we're using articles from Indie News Now, I think it makes a lot of sense to brand Indie News Now and link the website into the show name. So it's called Indie News Now Live. And I've been wanting to do a show kind of by myself, a news show. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to see how this goes. Again, Thursday nights, you're going to see a mix of shows. You're going to see a combination of either INN one-on-one. You're going to see Indie's Tech Tips, which I'm going to do shows of, and we're going to talk about the tools. We're going to do some more Nobody Wants to Work Anymore, and there might even be one on Thursday with me and Himbo. And, of course, American Tradition, which will be the last Thursday of every month. We've kind of tried to set on that as a schedule. So thank you, everybody, again, for supporting this move. Tell everyone about Indie News Now and about Indie News Now Live. I really think that it might help give us a little bit of a boost because we certainly could use one. The algorithm doesn't love us. Boats, by the way, will be moving to 11 p.m. on Sunday nights. So we are still going to do boats. It's going to happen on Sunday night. And the last Sunday of every month will still be an uncensored boats. But the truth is that I can't continue to stay up as late as I've been staying on Sunday nights, especially. And I've got to start working on my schedule. So spreading this out a little bit better seems to make more sense, at least for me. And we're going to try this and see how it goes. And thank you, everybody, for being on board and supporting that. So I will again say to support independent media because we need it more than ever. And we will see you next Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Check out INN News with Reef and Colin. And we'll see you again real soon. Love you all, fam. No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want?